The cargo bay of Kepler-7 station hummed with its usual night shift quiet. Day wiped the sweat from his forehead and checked his datapad again. 3 more containers to sort, then he could call it a night. He had been working the docks for 8 months now, ever since he left Earth's military service. The work was simple, the pay was decent, and nobody asked too many questions about his past. Day, we have an incoming shipment. Yuna's voice crackled through his earpiece. She ran the administrative office for the human quarter of the station. It's flagged as special handling. How special? Day asked. He picked up his scanner and headed toward the receiving dock. Very special. The manifest doesn't say much. Just warning symbols I've never seen before. Day frowned. In his 8 months on Kepler-7, he had handled cargo from dozens of alien species. He thought he had seen every warning label in the galaxy. What kind of symbols? I'm sending them to your pad now. The images appeared on his screen. Day stopped walking. The symbols were strange, almost ancient looking. They seemed to shift and move even though they were just static images on his display. Where did this come from? The Galactic Core. That's all the shipping records say. The Galactic Core was old territory. Most of the species there had been traveling through space for thousands of years before humans even invented the wheel. Day felt a small knot form in his stomach. I'll check it out. The receiving dock was crowded when Day arrived. That was unusual for the night shift. Rix, the Centaurian dock supervisor, stood near the main platform. His insect-like body clicked and chittered as he communicated with other workers. The Centaurians always made Day a bit nervous. They looked like massive praying mantises with 4 arms and compound eyes that seemed to see everything at once. Ah, the human. Rix's translator made his voice sound hollow and mechanical. Perhaps you can help us with our problem. What problem? Day approached the platform. In the center sat a large crate, about 2 meters on each side. It was made of a dark metal that seemed to absorb light. The strange symbols from his datapad were carved into every surface. The problem is that crate. A new voice spoke. Day turned to see Thelos, a Vulcrum merchant he had met a few times before. The Velcrons were tall and covered in heavy armor-like skin. They reminded Day of walking tanks. I am offering triple the standard rate for someone to move it to secure storage. Triple. Day raised his eyebrows. What's in it? We do not know, Rick said. His translator buzzed with what might have been frustration. We cannot get close enough to scan it properly. Day looked around the dock. At least a dozen alien workers stood at a distance from the crate. Centaurians, Volcrons, even a few Praxians with their crystalline bodies. All of them stayed far back from the platform. Why not? Approach it yourself, Talos said. You will see. Day walked toward the crate slowly. At first, nothing seemed wrong. Then, about 3 meters away, he felt it. A strange pressure in the air, like standing too close to a powerful magnet. The hair on his arms stood up. He took another step. Careful, human. Rix called out. The pressure increased. Day's skin tingled. It was not painful, just uncomfortable. Like static electricity before a storm. He stopped and looked back at the aliens. They all watched him with what he guessed was concern. I feel something, but it's not too bad. Not too bad? Rix's voice went up in pitch. We cannot get within 5 meters without our biology failing. The Praxians tried first. Their crystalline structure began to crack. The Volcrons experienced neural shutdown. Even my species, with our distributed nervous system, felt unbearable pain. Day looked at the crate again. But I just feel some tingling. The aliens began chittering and speaking among themselves in their various languages. Day caught some of the translated words. Impossible. The human lies. Perhaps their sensors are too primitive to detect danger. Talos stepped forward, though he still kept his distance. Human, this cargo must be moved to Vault 7 within 6 hours. The buyer is waiting. If you can do this task, I will pay you 50,000 credits. 50,000 credits. Day's mind raced. That was more than he made in a year. The human quarter could use that money. They were always struggling to expand, to buy better equipment, to make their section of the station more comfortable. But why was it so valuable? What's inside? They asked again. A device, Talos said. That is all I know. The buyer is very powerful, very rich, and very interested in items from the galactic core. Yuna's voice came through Day's earpiece again. Day, I'm looking at the energy readings from that crate. They're off the charts. Whatever is inside is generating some kind of field. What kind of field? I don't know. But it's affecting every species' biology in different ways. Running the data through the medical database now. Day stared at the crate. The symbols seemed to glow faintly in the dim light of the cargo bay. He had seen danger before, during his military days. He had diffused experimental weapons, walked through radiation zones with nothing but a thin suit, and survived things that should have killed him. This tingling feeling was nothing compared to those experiences. I'll do it, he said. The aliens erupted in noise. Bricks clicked rapidly. Talos made a deep rumbling sound. A Praxian near the back chimed like broken glass. You will die, human, Rick said. I have seen many species try to handle dangerous cargo. This is beyond dangerous. This is lethal. I've handled worse, they said. He was not completely sure that was true, but he tried to sound confident. Your funeral, Talos said. But he transmitted the payment authorization to Day's account immediately. Half now, half when the job was done. Vault 7. 6 hours. Day took a deep breath. He stepped closer to the crate. The tingling got stronger. 5 meters away. 4 meters. 3. The pressure built like a wave pushing against him. His vision blurred slightly at the edges. 2 meters. 1 meter. He reached out his hands. The moment his fingers touched the dark metal surface, everything changed. The tingling exploded into a rush of sensation that flowed through his entire body. Energy crackled across the crate's surface. Behind him, he heard the aliens cry out in alarm. Their sensors must be going crazy, but Day did not feel pain. He felt alive. The energy flowed around him, through him, like water around a stone in a stream. It was uncomfortable, yes. It made his teeth ache and his bones feel strange. But it was not killing him. He gripped the crate firmly with both hands and lifted. It was heavy, but not impossibly so. The anti-gravity cart nearby would help once he got it loaded. Day turned around, the crate in his arms, and looked at the gathered aliens. They stared back in complete silence. Vrix's mandibles hung open. Talos had taken several steps backward. The Praxians were actually hiding behind cargo containers. Which way to Vault 7? Day asked. Nobody answered for a long moment. Then Yuna's voice came through, steady and clear. I'm pulling up the route now. Day, medical readings show you're stable. Whatever that field is doing, your body is handling it. Good to know, Day said. He walked toward the anti-gravity cart, still holding the crate. The alien scrambled to get out of his way. As he loaded the crate onto the cart, Day noticed something. The symbols on the surface were definitely glowing now, and they seemed familiar somehow, though he could not say why. Like a memory from a dream, he could not quite recall. Let's get this done, he muttered to himself. He activated the cart and began pushing it toward the corridor that led deeper into the station. Behind him, the cargo bay erupted in excited alien chatter. But Day focused on the task ahead. 6 hours to Vault 7. He could do this. He had no idea that he had just changed everything for humanity's place in the galaxy. They pushed the anti-gravity cart through the main corridor of Kepler-7. The crate hummed with energy, making the air around it shimmer like heat waves on a summer day. Other beings in the hallway stopped and stared. Some quickly moved to the far wall. Others pulled out scanning devices and pointed them at the cargo from a safe distance. "Yuna, I'm getting a lot of attention here," they said into his comm. "I see it on the security feeds. Word is spreading fast. Jin wants to meet you at Junction 4. He says he needs to run some tests." Jin was one of the few other humans on the station. He worked as a xenobiologist, studying alien life forms and how they interacted with different environments. They had shared drinks with him a few times. Jin was curious about everything, sometimes too curious for his own good. "Tell him to be quick. I've got 5.5 hours left." Junction 4 was a large intersection where 3 main corridors met. Jin was already there when they arrived, along with another human. Hannah, the chief medical officer for the human quarter, stood next to Jin with a portable scanner in her hands. She looked worried. "They, stop for a moment," Jin called out. "Please." They stopped the cart. The crate's glow pulsed gently, like a heartbeat. "Make it fast." Jin approached cautiously. He held up a small device that beeped and clicked. "Fascinating. The energy signature is unlike anything in our database. It's cycling through multiple frequencies. What does that mean?" they asked. "It means the field is constantly changing," Hannah said. She kept her distance, but watched her scanner closely. Different frequencies affect different types of biology in different ways. "It's incredibly sophisticated, but why doesn't it hurt me?" Jin and Hannah exchanged glances. Jin spoke first. "We're not entirely sure yet, but I have a theory. Can I take a neural scan?" They nodded. Jin pulled out another device and pointed it at Day's head. The scanner made a soft whirring sound for about 30 seconds. Jin's eyes went wide as he read the results. "What is it?" Day asked. "Your brain waves. They're synchronizing with the field's frequency changes." "Is that bad?" "No, it's remarkable. The field shifts and your neural patterns shift to match. It's like your brain is dancing with the energy." Jin looked at the crate with new respect. "Other species can't do this. Their neural structures are too rigid. When the field changes, it causes a mismatch. That mismatch causes pain, cellular damage, system failure." Hannah stepped closer, though she still stayed several meters back. "Humans have very adaptable neurology. It's one of our evolutionary advantages. We can adjust to new environments, new stimuli, new challenges. But I've never seen anything like this." "So I'm not going to die?" they asked. "Not from the field, no," Hannah said. "Your vitals are actually improving. Heart rate is steady, brain function is enhanced. Even your immune system is showing increased activity." Jin laughed. It was a sound of pure scientific joy. "Do you know what this means? Humans might be the only species in the galaxy that can handle this technology." "What technology?" They looked at the crate. "We still don't know what's inside." "No, but we know where it came from. The galactic core. That's precursor territory." They had heard of the precursors. Everyone had. They were an ancient civilization that had vanished thousands of years ago. They had left behind ruins on hundreds of planets, strange devices, and mysteries that the current galactic species could not solve. Most precursor technology was dangerous or simply incomprehensible. "You think this is precursor tech?" They asked. "I'm certain of it," Jin said. "Those symbols on the crate. I've seen similar markings in research papers about precursor sites. Nobody has been able to translate them fully." Yuna's voice came through the come again. "You need to keep moving. You've attracted quite a crowd." They looked around. She was right. Dozens of aliens had gathered at the edges of the junction. They all stared at him and the crate. Some looked curious. Others looked afraid. A few looked angry. "I'm going," they said. He started pushing the cart again. Jin walked alongside him, though he stayed a few meters away. "I'll come with you. I want to observe." "Me too," Hana said. She fell in step on the other side. They moved through the station corridors. More beings stopped to watch. They heard whispers in a dozen different languages. His translator caught fragments. "The human. How is it possible? They are more dangerous than we thought." At Junction 7, they encountered a problem. A Velcran security officer stepped into their path. His name was Kron, and they had dealt with him before. Kron was not friendly to humans. "Stop," Kron commanded. His voice boomed through his translator. "This cargo is a threat to station safety." "It's authorized," they said. "Telos hired me to move it." "Telos is a merchant, not station security. I am confiscating this cargo until it can be properly contained." Jin stepped forward. "Officer Kron, the cargo is only dangerous to non-human species. Day is perfectly safe." "That is irrelevant. Station regulations require that all hazardous materials be—" "Officer Kron." Yuna's voice came through, but not just on days come. It broadcast through the public address system in the junction. "I have the station commander on another line. She has personally authorized this transfer. If you interfere, you will be in violation of direct orders." Kron's armored faceplates shifted. Day could not read Velcran expressions well, but he guessed Kron was angry. "This is not over, human." "Great," Day muttered. He pushed the cart past Kron. They continued toward Vault 7. The path took them through the commercial district, where shops and restaurants lined the corridors. Business stopped as they passed. Alien merchants came to their doorways. Customers pressed against windows to see. A Praxian approached them. Her crystalline body chimed softly as she moved. "Human, may I ask a question?" They stopped. "Sure. How does it feel?" "The energy field?" They thought about it. "Like standing in a strong wind. You can feel the pressure, but if you lean into it the right way, it's not so bad." The Praxian made a sound like breaking ice. Her translator called it laughter. "Remarkable. If I got that close, my body would shatter. Yet, you carry it as if it were nothing." "It's not nothing," they said. "It's heavy. And the tingling is getting old. But you do not suffer," the Praxian said. "You adapt." Perhaps the old stories were true. What old stories? The stories say the precursors were like you. Soft bodies. Flexible minds. They could change and grow in ways we cannot. The Praxian bowed, her body creating a small rainbow of reflected light. "Thank you for letting me see this." She walked away. Jin looked thoughtful. "That's interesting. I've read some of those stories too. Most scholars dismiss them as myth. Maybe they were wrong," Hana said. They reached Vault 7 with an hour to spare. The vault was a massive reinforced chamber used to store the most valuable and dangerous cargo on the station. Thelos was already there, along with 3 other Velcrons and 2 beings they did not recognize. "The human succeeds," Thelos said. He did not sound surprised, but not entirely pleased either. "Bring the crate inside." They pushed the cart into the vault. The space was huge, with walls made of thick composite metal. Containment fields hummed at various frequencies. The crate seemed to respond to them, its glow shifting colors. "Place it in the center," Telos instructed. They guided the cart to the middle of the vault. He reached out and touched the crate one more time. The energy flowed through him again, that strange sensation of connection. For just a moment, he felt something else. Information. Images. a flash of understanding that vanished before he could grasp it. He released the crate and stepped back. Thalos approached, though he stayed outside the crate's field. The payment is complete. You have done well, human. What's inside? They asked. He had to know. Thalos was quiet for a long moment. Then he spoke. A data archive from the precursors. It contains coordinates, maps, locations of other devices, other caches, other mysteries. The buyer has been searching for something like this for decades, and only a human can open it, Jin said. He had followed them into the vault. Yes, Thalos admitted. We have tried everything. Every tool, every technology. The archive will not respond to us. But the moment you touched it, we detected changes in its operation. It recognized you. They felt a chill run down his spine. Why? That is the question everyone will be asking soon, Talos said. Why can humans interact with precursor technology when no other species can? What does it mean? An alarm sounded. The vault doors began to close. Talos gestured for them to leave. Go now. The vault will be sealed. This conversation is over. Day, Jin, and Hana hurried out. The massive doors slammed shut behind them. They stood in the corridor, processing what had just happened. This is going to change everything, Jin whispered. Day looked at his hands. They still tingled slightly. Yeah, I think you're right. News traveled fast on Kepler-7 station. By the time Day returned to the human quarter, everyone knew what had happened. The small common area was packed with people. Quan and Mina, two other human workers, rushed up to him as soon as he walked through the door. Is it true? Quan asked. He was a maintenance tech with grease permanently stained on his hands. You touched a precursor device? I moved a crate, Day said. I don't know if what was inside was actually precursor tech. It was, Jin said. He had followed Day back. No question about it. The room erupted in excited chatter. Humans asked questions all at once. Day raised his hands for quiet. Look, I just did a job. That's all. That's not all, Yuna said. She stood at the back of the room with her datapad. I've been monitoring station communications for the past 3 hours. Every major faction in this sector is talking about what happened. The Centaurians, the Volcrons, the Praxians. Even the Draconid Empire sent a message. About me? Day felt uncomfortable. He did not like being the center of attention. About humans, Yuna corrected. About what we can do that they cannot. Mina, who worked in the station's hydroponic gardens, spoke up. I heard 2 Velcron merchants talking. They said humans are either the luckiest species in the galaxy or the most dangerous. We're neither, they said. We're just different. Different is what matters, Jin said. He pulled up a holographic display from his datapad. It showed the energy signature of the crate. Look at this pattern. It cycles through 17 different frequency ranges. Each one is specifically harmful to a different type of biology. Centaurian nervous systems, Velcron brain structures, Praxian crystalline matrices, the Draconids, the Yolther, every major species. But not humans, Hana added. She had been quiet until now. Human neurology is unique. We evolved on a world with heavy electromagnetic interference from our moon and our position in the solar system. Our brains developed to filter and adapt to changing energy fields. Tay, an older human who had been in space longer than anyone else in the quarter, laughed. So you're saying Earth's weird magnetic field made us the only species that can touch ancient alien treasure? Basically, yes, Jin said. The room fell silent. Everyone was thinking about what that meant. They could see it on their faces. Hope, worry, excitement, fear. Yuna cleared her throat. I've received 47 business inquiries in the last hour. Companies, governments, research institutions. All of them want to hire humans for precursor-related work. How much are they offering? Quan asked. Una smiled. Enough to transform the human quarter into the human sector. Enough to build our own ships. Enough to make us independent. The room buzzed with energy. People started talking about possibilities. What they could buy. Where they could go. What they could build. Day slipped out while everyone was distracted. He needed air, or at least what passed for air in the station's recycled atmosphere. He headed to Observation Deck 3, a quiet spot that looked out at the stars. He was not alone for long. Rix found him there. Human Day, the Centaurian said. His translator made his voice less hollow than usual. Almost friendly. May I speak with you? Sure, Day said. He had always been a bit nervous around Rix, but the dock supervisor had never been unkind. Rix approached the window. His compound eyes reflected the starlight. I owe you an apology. For what? For underestimating your species. We Centaurians pride ourselves on our logic, our efficiency, our understanding of biology. Yet we failed to see what was obvious. Humans are not primitive. You are simply new. Thanks, I think, Day said. I watched you carry that crate. I saw the energy readings. Any other being would have died. But you, Rix made a clicking sound. You walked through the fire as if it were rain. It didn't feel like fire. That is my point. What kills us does not harm you. What harms us makes you stronger. This is a remarkable thing. They stood in silence for a moment. Then Rick spoke again. There will be trouble, you know? What kind of trouble? The kind that comes when the balance of power shifts. For thousands of years, the major species have controlled access to precursor sites. They have made fortunes from the few scraps of technology they could safely retrieve. Now humans can walk right in and take whatever they want. Some will see this as opportunity. Others will see it as threat. They had not thought about it that way. You think people will come after us? Not all people, but some. Those who profit from the current system. Those who fear change. Rix turned to face Day fully. You should be careful. Your kind should be careful. I'll keep that in mind. Rix left. Day stood at the window for a long time, thinking. The stars looked different now. Full of possibility and danger, in equal measure. His com chimed. It was Una. Day, we have a situation. Can you come to the admin office? On my way. The admin office was crowded when Day arrived. Una sat at her desk, surrounded by holographic displays. Jin and Hannah were there too, along with Quan and Mina. They all looked serious. What's wrong? Day asked. We've been offered a job, Una said. A big one. By who? A coalition of research institutions. They want to sponsor an expedition to a precursor site in the outer reach. They're offering 2 million credits, plus a percentage of any discoveries. Day whistled. That's a lot of money. Yes, but there's a catch. The site is on a dead world with extreme radiation. High gravity. Toxic atmosphere. No species has been able to survive there long enough to do a proper survey. But they think humans can. Can we? Day asked. Hannah pulled up medical data. Maybe. Human biology is remarkably resilient. With the right equipment, proper preparation, and some luck, we could probably handle the environment for short periods. How short? A few hours at a time. Mina leaned forward. The real question is, should we do this? We just found out about our ability today. Maybe we should take time to understand it better before we rush into something dangerous. We don't have time, Una said quietly. I've already received 3 other offers for similar expeditions. If we don't take this opportunity, someone else will. Other humans. and we'll lose our chance to establish ourselves. Quan rubbed his chin. So we're saying yes? I'm saying we should consider it carefully, Yuna said. This isn't just about money. This is about proving that humans belong in the galactic community. That we're not just lucky or reckless. That we have real value to offer. They thought about the moment he touched the crate. That flash of understanding. That sense of connection to something ancient and vast. What do we know about this precursor site? Jin pulled up images. They showed a barren planet with purple skies and black rock. It's called Karish 9. Survey drones have identified what appears to be a massive underground complex. The structure goes down at least 5 kilometers. The entrance is protected by an energy field similar to the one on your crate. And they think I can get through it. They know you can get through it, Jin corrected. The question is what we'll find inside. They looked at the others. Yuna, determined and thoughtful. Jin, excited by the scientific possibilities. Hannah, concerned but curious. Quan and Mina, hopeful for a better future. These were his people. His community. When do we leave? He asked. Yuna smiled. I was hoping you'd say that. We have 1 week to prepare. The meeting continued late into the station's night cycle. They discussed equipment, team composition, safety protocols. They listened to it all, but his mind kept drifting back to that moment of contact with the crate. There had been something there. A message. A recognition. The precursors had built these devices for a reason. They had designed them to respond to certain neural patterns. Patterns that humans possessed. Why? Had they known humans would come? Had they planned for it? Or was it something else? Something Day did not want to think about yet. Jin noticed Day's distraction. You okay? Yeah, Day said. Just thinking. About what? About why. Why us? Why humans? Of all the species in the galaxy, why can we interact with their technology? Jin's expression grew serious. I've been wondering the same thing. I have some theories, but they're wild. Probably wrong. Tell me anyway. What if the precursors were human? Or at least, what if they had similar biology? Similar neural structures? What if we're not just compatible with their technology? What if we're their descendants? The room went quiet. Everyone was listening now. That's impossible, Hannah said. But she did not sound certain. Is it? Jin asked. The precursors disappeared thousands of years ago. Humans appeared on Earth. We don't have fossil records going back far enough to prove we evolved there. What if we were placed there? What if Earth was a refuge or an experiment or a backup plan? That's a huge leap, Yuna said. I know, but it would explain everything. Why we can use their technology. Why the devices recognize us. Why we feel that connection. They stood up. We'll find out. At Karish 9, if there's a data archive like the one in the crate, maybe we can get answers. Maybe, Jin agreed. They ended the meeting shortly after. Day walked back to his small quarters in the human section. He lay down on his bunk and stared at the ceiling. 1 week. Then they would go to a dead world and try to unlock secrets that had been buried for thousands of years. He should have been scared. Instead, he felt ready. The shuttle descended through purple clouds toward the surface of Karish 9. Day gripped his seat harness as the ship shook. Through the viewport, he could see the black landscape rising to meet them. Lightning flashed across the sky, not from storms but from the planet's intense magnetic field. Radiation levels increasing, Hannah reported from the co-pilot seat. She wore a full environmental suit, as did everyone on board. Still within acceptable range, but we'll need to limit surface time. Understood, Yuna said. She was piloting the shuttle they had purchased with part of their advance payment. It was small but sturdy, designed for hostile environments. Jin sat next to Day, his face pressed to the viewport. Look at those formations. The rock has been shaped by millennia of magnetic storms. Beautiful. If you say so, Quan muttered. He checked his equipment for the 10th time. I still think this is crazy. Crazy is profitable, Mina said. She managed a nervous smile. The shuttle landed on a flat area of black rock, about a kilometer from the entrance to the precursor complex. The moment they touched down, alarms started beeping. Gravity is 1.4 standard, Una reported. Atmosphere is nitrogen and sulfur compounds. Completely toxic. Temperature is -40 degrees. The magnetic field is causing interference with most of our sensors. So a nice vacation spot, Day said. They suited up and exited through the airlock. The gravity hit Day immediately. Each step felt heavy, like wearing weighted boots. The landscape stretched out in all directions, nothing but black rock and purple sky. In the distance, mountains rose like broken teeth. The entrance is this way, Jin said. He consulted a handheld scanner that barely functioned through the interference. About 900 meters. They walked in a line, connected by safety cables. The wind howled around them, carrying dust that pinned against their helmets. Day's suit reported external temperature, radiation levels, atmospheric composition. All of it was deadly. Without the suit, he would last maybe 30 seconds. But he could feel something else too. A pull, a direction. Like the crate back on the station, but stronger. More insistent. Does anyone else feel that? He asked over the comm. Feel what? Una responded. Like a tugging. Leading us forward. Silence. Then Jin spoke. I feel it too. Faint, but there. Day, is it stronger for you? Yes, much stronger. They continued walking. The entrance to the precursor complex came into view. It was a massive arch carved into the side of a cliff, at least 50 meters tall. The same strange symbols from the crate covered every surface. They glowed with a soft blue light. Magnificent, Jin whispered Dot as they approached. The symbols grew brighter. The pull Day felt intensified. His suit's sensors started going haywire. Day, your vital signs are spiking, Hana said with concern. Heart rate up. Brain activity increasing. What's happening? I don't know. I feel... Day struggled to find words. Connected. Like the arch is calling to me. They stopped about 20 meters from the entrance. An energy field shimmered across the archway. The same kind that had surrounded the crate. But this one was massive, powerful enough that even the humans could see it distorting the air. That field will kill anyone who touches it, Hana said. She studied her medical scanner. The energy output is incredible. Anyone except Day, Jin said. All eyes turned to him. Day swallowed hard. You want me to walk through it? We came here for this, Una said gently. But only if you're willing. We won't force you. They looked at the shimmering barrier. Logic said it was dangerous. Insane to even try. But that pull, that connection, it felt right. Like coming home to a place he had never been. I'll do it, he said. He disconnected his safety cable and walked forward, alone. 10 meters from the field. 5 meters. His suit's alarm screamed warnings. He ignored them. 3 meters. 2. 1. He reached out his gloved hand and touched the energy field. The universe exploded with light. Day gasped as information flooded into his mind. Not words. Not images. Pure understanding. The field was not a barrier. It was an interface. A lock that required the right key. And his neural pattern was that key dot he pushed through the field. It felt like moving through thick water, resistance on all sides. But he did not stop. 1 step, 2, 3. He emerged on the other side. The energy field behind him stabilized. They stood in the entrance of the precursor complex, breathing hard. His suit reported that he was fine. Better than fine. His vitals were stronger than before he entered. Day. Yuna's voice crackled through the comm. Are you okay? I'm through, he said. It's safe. I think you can follow me now. The others approached cautiously. Jin was first. He touched the field and pushed through with only minor discomfort. Then Hannah, then Yuna, Quan, and Mina. Once they had opened the way, the field allowed them to pass. They stood together in the entrance tunnel. Lights activated as they moved forward, running along the walls in patterns that reminded Day of circuit boards. The tunnel sloped downward. The complex goes deep, Jin said, his voice filled with awe. These walls, this construction, it's incredible. The precursors built this thousands of years ago, and it still functions perfectly. They walked deeper. The tunnel opened into a vast chamber. Day's helmet lights could not reach the far walls. But there was no need. The chamber had its own illumination. Thousands of symbols glowed on every surface, creating a soft blue light that filled the space. In the center of the chamber stood a pedestal. On top of it rested an object that looked like a sphere made of liquid metal. It rotated slowly, defying gravity. Is that? Quan started. Another archive, Jin finished. But much larger, much more complete. They approached the pedestal. The pull he had felt outside was overwhelming now. The sphere seemed to pulse in rhythm with his heartbeat. Day, wait, Hana called. We should scan it first. There's no time, Day said. He did not know how he knew this, but he was certain. It's waiting for me. It has been waiting for a long time. He reached out and touched the sphere. The world disappeared. Day found himself in a space that was not a space. All around him, data flowed like rivers of light, information, knowledge, history. He understood it all somehow, even though it came faster than thought. He saw the precursors. Not aliens, humans, or something so close to human that the difference did not matter. They had traveled the galaxy long before any of the current species. They had built wonders, explored, created, and they had known they were dying. A plague, a genetic flaw in their biology, something they could not cure despite all their technology. The precursors had faced extinction, but they had made a plan. They had taken a small group, the healthiest, the youngest, and sent them to a distant world. A blue planet with one moon and perfect conditions for life. Earth. The precursors had placed their descendants there, along with genetic modifications that would protect them from the plague. They had erased the colonists' memories, given them a fresh start, and hoped that one day their children would return to the stars. The rest of the precursors had sealed themselves in vaults like this one, leaving behind their knowledge and their technology, waiting for humans to come home. Day gasped as he returned to his body. He was on his knees in front of the pedestal. The sphere had stopped rotating. It now showed images, star maps, coordinates, data archives across the galaxy. His team surrounded him. Jin helped him to his feet. What happened? Yuna asked. You were standing there for 10 minutes, not moving. 10 minutes? It had felt like seconds. Or years. Time had no meaning in that place. Are you hurt? Hannah scanned him. No, I'm fine. Better than fine. They looked at the sphere. I know what we are now. What humans are? What do you mean? Jin asked. The precursors. They were us. We're their descendants. They sent our ancestors to Earth to survive a plague. Everything they built, all their technology, all their knowledge, they left it for us. They've been waiting for us to be ready to claim it. Silence. Then Jin laughed. It was a sound of pure joy. I knew it. I knew we were connected to them. It's more than that, they said. He gestured to the sphere. This archive contains locations of every precursor vault in the galaxy. Hundreds of them, maybe thousands, all filled with technology, information, resources. And humans are the only ones who can access them. We're the inheritors, Yuna whispered. Yes, Quan let out a low whistle. The other species are going to lose their minds when they find out. Some will, Hana said. Others will want to use us, hire us, partner with us. And some will fear us, Mina added quietly. They nodded. She was right. The balance of power in the galaxy was about to shift dramatically. Humans would go from being newcomers to being the most valuable species in known space. That would bring opportunities and dangers. We need to be careful how we share this information, Yuna said. She was already thinking strategically. We can't just announce it to everyone at once. Agreed, they said. But we also can't keep it secret forever. The sphere is broadcasting a signal now. I can feel it. Other archives are activating, responding. Someone will notice. Jin pulled out his scanner. He's right. I'm detecting energy spikes across multiple frequencies. If we can detect them, so can others. Then we move fast, Yuna decided. We take what we can from this archive, return to the station, and figure out our next steps. The return to Kepler-7 station was different from their departure. News of their successful mission had traveled fast. When their shuttle docked, a crowd was waiting. Aliens of every species pressed against the viewing windows of the docking bay. Security had to establish barriers to keep order. They stepped out of the shuttle to find Vrix waiting for him. The Centaurian supervisor looked agitated, his mandibles clicking rapidly. Human Day, you have created quite a disturbance. I just did what we planned, they said. You accessed a precursor vault. You retrieved an archive. And in doing so, you triggered energy signals across half the galaxy. Vrix gestured with one of his four arms. Do you have any idea how many factions are now scrambling to understand what happened? A lot? An understatement. The Centaurian Council has called an emergency session. The Vulcan Dominion has mobilized their research fleets. Even the Draconid Empire, which usually ignores such matters, has sent observers. Everyone wants to know what humans found in that vault. Yuna joined them, carrying a secured data case. Then I suppose we should tell them. You would share your discovery? Rick sounded surprised. Some of it, Yuna said carefully. We believe in cooperation. But we also need to protect human interests. They made their way through the station to a special meeting room that had been prepared. It was the largest conference space on Kepler-7, usually reserved for trade negotiations between major powers. Today, it was packed. Representatives from dozens of species filled the seats. They recognized Thelos among the Velcrons. There were Centaurian diplomats, Praxian scholars, and beings from species they had never even seen before. At the back of the room stood a tall figure in dark robes. A Draconid, one of the most powerful and mysterious species in the galaxy. Yuna stood at the center podium. Jin, Hannah, Quan, Mina, and they stood behind her in support. Thank you all for coming, Yuna began. I know there are many questions about what we found at Karish 9. I will answer what I can. A Vulcan representative stood. Is it true you accessed a precursor data archive? Yes. And that you brought it back here? We brought a copy of the data. Yes. The original archive remains on Karish 9. Murmurs filled the room. A Praxian scholar chimed loudly. What does the archive contain? Yuna nodded to Jin, who activated a holographic display. It showed star maps with thousands of points marked in blue light. These are the locations of precursor vaults throughout the galaxy, Jin explained. Each one contains technology, information, and resources left behind by the precursor civilization. The room erupted in noise. Representatives shouted questions. Some argued with each other. Security had to call for order. When the room quieted, the Draconid at the back spoke. His voice was deep and resonant, needing no translator. And humans can access these vaults when we cannot. It was not a question. They stepped forward. Yes, our biology is compatible with precursor technology in ways other species are not. Why? The Draconid asked. They glanced at Una. They had discussed how much to reveal. She nodded slightly. Because we are their descendants. The precursors were human, or close enough that the difference doesn't matter. They left Earth as a refuge for their people when they faced extinction. They left these vaults as an inheritance for us. The silence that followed was absolute. Every being in the room stared at the humans. Then Vrick spoke. That is an extraordinary claim. We have proof, Jin said. He displayed data from the archive. Genetic comparisons. Historical records. Images of precursors that looked remarkably human. The evidence is conclusive. The Vulcan representative who had spoken earlier stood again. If this is true, then humans have claim to the most valuable resources in the galaxy. Technology that could change everything. This is unacceptable. Unacceptable? Yuna's voice grew cold. Why? Because you didn't get there first? Because it gives you too much power. Too much advantage. We were given an inheritance by our ancestors, Una said firmly. That is all right. Rights must be balanced against the good of the galactic community, the Vulcan argued. The Draconid stepped forward. The crowd parted before him. Enough. The humans have made their discovery. They have presented their evidence. Whether we like it or not, the situation has changed. He turned his gaze on Una. Up close, they could see the Draconid's scaled face, the intelligence in his eyes. I am Venth, elder scholar of the Draconid Empire. I have studied precursor ruins for 3 centuries. What you say matches knowledge we have kept secret. We suspected the precursors had survivors somewhere. We never imagined they were you. You knew? Jin asked. We had fragments, hints, nothing conclusive. But now you have given us certainty. Venth bowed slightly. The Draconids acknowledge your claim. The precursor legacy is yours by right of descent. Other representatives protested, but Venth's word carried weight. The Draconids were ancient and powerful. If they accepted the human claim, others would follow. A Centaurian diplomat raised a claw. Then, what do the humans intend to do with this legacy? Una had been prepared for this question. We intend to explore the vaults, learn from them, recover what we can. But we also understand that we are part of a larger galactic community. We are willing to share knowledge and technology through fair agreements and partnerships. For a price, the Vulcan representative said bitterly. For fair compensation, yes, Una agreed. We are not a charity, but we are also not tyrants. We want to work with other species, not against them. Thalo stood. The Vulcan Dominion would be interested in establishing trade agreements. If humans can access precursor medical technology, for example, we would pay well for it. The Centaurian Council would also like to discuss partnerships. Vrix added. Other representatives began speaking up, offering proposals, suggesting collaborations. The mood in the room shifted from confrontation to negotiation. They watched it all happen. A week ago, he had been a simple cargo handler. Now he was part of something that would change the galaxy. It was overwhelming. The meeting continued for hours. By the end, preliminary agreements had been made with several major factions. Humans would lead expeditions to precursor vaults. Other species could participate, sharing costs and benefits. Knowledge would be exchanged. Technology would be traded fairly. it was not perfect, but it was a start. When the meeting finally ended, Day and his team returned to the human quarter. The small common room that had been their meeting place was already being expanded. With the money from their mission and the new contracts, they could afford to grow. "We did it," Mina said. She sounded exhausted but happy. "We did," Yuna agreed. "But this is just the beginning." Jin pulled up a holographic display showing the vault locations. "There are thousands of these. It will take years to explore them all. Maybe decades. Then, we better get started," Quan said. Hannah smiled. "We'll need more people. More ships. More resources. We'll get them," Yuna said confidently. "Humans from Earth and the colonies will come. Everyone will want to be part of this." They looked at the star map, at all those blue points of light scattered across the galaxy. Each one represented a piece of his heritage, a gift from ancestors he had never known existed. "They left all this for us," he said quietly. "The precursors. They gave up everything so we could have a future. And now we honor them by claiming it," Jin said. The next few days were busy. More humans began arriving on Kepler-7, drawn by news of the discovery. The human quarter became the human district, then the human sector. Ships were purchased. Teams were formed. Expeditions were planned. Day found himself at the center of it all. He was the first human to touch precursor technology, the first to access a vault. His neural pattern was the template they used to identify who else could safely interact with the ancient devices. It turned out most humans could, to varying degrees. But Day's compatibility was exceptional. "You're going to be famous," Jin told him one evening. They sat in a new bar that had opened in the human sector. "I don't want to be famous," Day said. "I just want to do the work." "Too late for that. You're the face of humanity's new role in the galaxy." Day sighed. "Great." Rix joined them, surprising both humans. The Centaurian had become something of a friend over the past week. "May I sit?" "Of course," Day said. Rick settled into a chair designed for his unique body shape. "I wanted to apologize again for how we treated humans before, for assuming you were primitive." "You weren't the only ones," Day said. "We were new, unproven. I don't blame you for being cautious." "You are gracious. But I should have seen what was obvious. The galaxy judges too quickly, based on limited information. We saw that you lacked our advanced technology and assumed you lacked intelligence or capability. We were wrong. We all make mistakes," Jin said. "True, but some mistakes have bigger consequences." Rix looked around the bar at the humans laughing and celebrating. "You have changed everything, you know. The political landscape, the economic balance, the social order. Nothing will be the same. Is that bad?" They asked. "No, different is not bad. Different is just different." Rix made a sound that might have been laughter. "Though some of my colleagues are finding the adjustment difficult." Over the next week, 3 more expeditions launched. Each one was successful. More archives were found. More technology was recovered.